How do Canadians vote? Will I be able to vote if I go to Canada? What is the way they select their prime minister? Well, these are the questions that would be in your head if you are dreaming to be in Canada, whether you are a student, a work permit holder, or somebody who's going to live their life as a PR holder in Canada. So welcome to this video and let's get cracking to understand how do Canadians vote. This has been quite a common question in our heads, that how does this system of voting, government, politics works in Canada, and if I go to Canada, how will I be impacted by it? It's a big question. See, PR, study, work, all are big things that you do in your life. These are major decisions of your life because they affect not just you but your family as well. So it is very important to understand how things work even when you are in your decision phase, and get to know what is the whole system of politics in the country that I want to go in. So let's quickly understand that how Canadians are going to vote. First thing first, let us first understand how the whole system is. Now the interesting part of election system in Canada is that their election system overall, electoral process overall, is quite similar to the process that we follow in India. Now this could be attributed thanks to Britishers. Now Britishers were here ruling our country, whereas they were also ruling Canada in the past, and because of that I believe quite commonality has been created in the system. Now this system that we talk about in the electoral process is something which is called first past the post. That is, the party that gets the majority in the house forms the government, and irrespective whether that party has gained popular votes or more number of votes, if they get more number of seats, they would be the ones who would be forming the government. Now there is a fair share of criticism around this, even in our country, even in Canada, as to certain instances have been there in the past when the parties in question who came to the government actually got less number of votes than their competitors. In 2015, Liberals got roughly 200,000 less votes as compared to Conservatives, but they still went on and formed the government because they got around 158 seats. Now in 2019 also this happened, that the Liberals got around 40% of votes but got around 55% of their seats in the House of Commons. Now because of that there has been fair share of criticism, and we have seen that happening in India as well, that the winning party may not be the most popular party in the country in terms of percentage of votes or the voting numbers. But I think this has been the case. This is how it is practiced in India. I don't see when it will change, but in Canada there had been criticism and voice. Even Liberals also promised earlier in the past that they would change this system, but for this election which is happening now, they have not changed anything. They have just gone with the old system. So let's now move ahead and see that how other things work. Now for example, in India there are constituencies where elections are fought by local leaders. Similarly, Canada has ridings. So in these ridings or constituencies, there is an election. People vote for their particular riding, and they vote for one person in competition with others in that riding. So once that person wins, he or she is called a member of parliament. Their parliament is called the House of Commons, much like Lok Sabha we have in India. And once the person reaches the House of Commons, or let's say the leaders have won, they then, based on which party they are, they would then form the government, and the leader of that party would usually be the prime minister. and this is how it has been working over the years in Canada. Now these ridings are, as I said, just like constituencies, so they have like national interest areas. Issues which are raised by the politicians there are of national interest as well as local interest, similar to, let's say, a constituency in India where the people who are fighting for MP would also raise national issues because it's a federal or a national election, but at the same time they would have certain local issues to be addressed as well to the public. So similarly, these are how the politicians are placing themselves in Canada as well, raising both local as well as national issues. Another aspect that we must understand is that it is a secret ballot system, that a Canadian goes to the polling in whatever way the polling is happening and would vote as a secret ballot. That is, he or she will not disclose who are they putting their votes on. Much like India, like we go behind that makeshift arrangement and then we give our sort of stamp to one person and then the ballot is registered. Similar thing happens in Canada as well. So talking about this majority and minority government, there have been instances in the past that no one party got the majority. In the last election, for example, Liberals did not get the majority, and that is the reason why there was a coalition government which was formed, and NDP, which has been the most loved party for immigrants because of Jagmeet Singh, has voted, or I would say has supported this Liberal government, and then the government started functioning. So it was simply on the face of it an effort to not redo the elections, but I think that gave immense power to Jagmeet Singh and the NDP party because they became the kingmakers. And it is said that in this election as well they will emerge as the kingmakers, simply because the immigrant population is rallying behind, obviously, somebody they can relate to. Though Jagmeet Singh is as good a Canadian as anybody else, but because of his ethnicity, he is a favored candidate among immigrants. Not all immigrants, I would say, because depending on the constituency or riding, issues would change, and based on the agendas that the party will put forward, voters will decide. But on a general sense, and especially for immigrants who are not going to vote, he is the most popular man. When I say not going to vote, I am talking about PR holders. Now, permanent residents of Canada are not allowed to vote in the election, and they do not have that power to select somebody. So all they can do is just be volunteers with campaigns and just sort of form an opinion around who should win, and share it with their friends and circles, and in a way this also impacts what is going to happen in the election, because if there is a conversation around a particular leader and a lot of the immigrants who are potential future citizens of Canada are favoring a particular party or a leader, that is supposedly going to have impact on the voting pattern, because especially in the areas which are dominated by immigrants. So let's say in Brampton, if people are talking about a particular leader as the right one, it is going to have certain influence on the voting citizens as well, indirectly or directly. So this is something that has emerged as a new aspect in Canada, that in the past there were only two parties, Liberals and Conservatives, but now because of this new changing Canada with a lot of immigrants coming in, new faces are emerging and new voices are coming in the election system. So I think it's a wonderful thing, because that gives people more voice, more choice, and that also brings a lot of competition in the election system, and that's always good for politicians, I believe. If you talk about India, even when we have more than one party, two parties or three parties in the election, then it always gets interesting, and people like to go by ideology, agendas, development, and then the many other issues on which they vote. And that sort of keeps the politicians on their toes. So as citizens, that's what we can hope for, that the politicians would be on their toes and would always strive to do their best, not just before the elections but also after the elections they have been selected. So as I said, permanent residents do not get to vote, but they are a formidable voice when it comes to elections. Now the elections in Canada are on September 20th, and a lot of things are riding on it. Immigration to a large extent will not be affected, as I said in my past video as well, but still changes will come as the governments or the parties get vote share in a different way. For example, even if liberals get back to the government as a majority government, there are bound to be changes in the system, because they will introduce certain things. They want to speed up certain things, they want to change certain things, and that will impact future immigration programs, not in a negative way I would say, but yes, there would be certain impact. So which party is going to do what are the agendas, what are the questions they have in their mind for people to think about, what are their main riding ideologies, all of that, and with the perspective of immigration, I am going to bring in the next video that I am going to do, and that will be out soon as well. So in the meantime, I hope you understood in basic sense how the system works, and especially to my friends in India, this is as good as having your national elections, quite similar to what happens there. So I hope that is clear to you, and all my aspiring students, work permit holders, job seekers, as well as permanent residents. You understand the system and you are able to better talk about it when you are going to talk to your fellow Canadian friends, and you are going to talk about people who matter. So on that note, I'll see you in the next video. Stay healthy, stay fit, and see you around.